Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary for the last 5 years. I am your host and superior web headmaster, Jarod Bachman-Stubbs, and joining me today, riding shotgun, is the proprietor of the Mitch692 channel and co-host of the Comic Book Cast. It is Mitch!
Hi! I didn't actually say it on the stream, so congratulations on 5 years.
Thank you very much.
Here's to 5 more. As I said, as I said then, it's crazy that I've been here for 4 of them.
Yeah.
On and off. It's just like, how the hell have you only been doing TNAP? Obviously, you've been doing the space for longer, but
I was
like, oh, he's been doing it for years. It's like, oh no, it's been a year. Okay.
I mean, listen, man, I'm proud of the time, and I said before, and I'll say again, I'm proud to say that one of the closest working relationships I have in this space is with Comic Book Cast. As a longtime fan, as somebody, Comic Book Cast made me want to do stuff like this, showed me that, like, hey, like, there is a market for this stuff, and I'm proud to be one of your interlocutors. So thank you very much.
One of the few.
Also,
before we get started, I meant to also say this the other day as well on the stream, but I mean, the way I joined that stream completely threw my plan off. A hot dog is a roll.
I'm willing to entertain that more than sandwich. We don't have time for it today, but I like that a lot more. Guys, we have some really big news and a whole lot of Daredevil to talk about today. So I am not going to waste too much time. You guys know the drill. Sunday's Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the multiverse. It is the only Bloody Mary mix I swear by as a former bartender. A from-scratch Bloody Mary is the best you can have, unless it's coming out of a Sunday's jar. So use the link in the description down below. Use the code TNAP, TNAP, at checkout to get 10% off your order and support your favorite nerds while you do it. Too much to talk about today. And Mitch is on a bit of a time crunch, and I appreciate his time very much.
It'll be fine. There's no need to rush. It will be fine.
I know. I just don't want to lose too much time. Also, but before we do jump in, thank you to everybody who joined us for our 5-year / my birthday stream. It's very fun to celebrate 5 years of the Nerd Academy. Very proud of what we've built here. I am, honored and graced by all of the people who come through our comments all the time, all of the people who supported us on Patreon, on and off, and this, throughout these 5 years. Like I said, it's been an honor, and thank you guys for letting me and my friends be a part of how you engage with the stories you love. It is the highest honor I have ever had, and I appreciate it every day. It may not be a big channel, but it's big in my heart, and you guys make it feel like that. So without further ado, Mitch, did you have fun looking at chairs
for 5.5 hours? Yeah, loved it. Yeah.
So here's my dirty little secret. I did not watch the whole stream. I was getting play-by-play updates from the group chat I'm in, and towards the end, I had the stream on in the background because I was at work. So, and I don't know, this is not an agreed upon thing, but just funnily enough, like the last hour to like 45 minutes to an hour of my shift, I inevitably end up behind the register. It's just how it happens. I think it's honestly because I take my lunch so late into my shift that by the time I come out, someone's walking out to the register and I just hop behind and get to work. So I had the Instagram live propped up on my phone under the cash register and was looking down every 10 to 20 minutes to ooh.
I watched I wasn't there from the start. I only found out just say it revealed Hemsworth. Because I mean, when are they ditching for Thor 5? It's like, no, no, just gonna expose that man from the DMs. It's like, why would they do that? And it's like, oh, it's clearly Doomsday related. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I just had Chrome open and I was editing a video.
There you go.
So
There you
every
go.
time you heard a little bit of music chime in, I just changed tabs, just alt tab.
See, we can't have AirPods in on the floor, and my phone the volume was too low, so I didn't even know about the music. I would just look down and see a new chair. But for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, yesterday, at time of record, 2 days ago when you're hearing this, Marvel Studios did a 5-hour live stream where every 10 to 20 minutes, they revealed a new cast member of Avengers Doomsday. So let's jump into it. The official cast list we got.
That's not complete either, by the way.
We'll get to that. Thor, Chris Hemsworth. Captain America, Anthony Mackie. Vanessa Kirby, the Invisible Woman. Ant-Man, Paul Rudd. Florence Pugh, Black Widow. Wyatt Russell, U.S. Agent. Tenoch Huerta, Namor. Simu Liu, Shang-Chi. Sebastian Stan, Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier. Letitia Wright as Shuri, Black Panther. Ebon Moss-Bacharach as The Thing. And this is where things get interesting. So all of those, okay, that checks out. These are all, like MCU people. This is where things get interesting. Unfortunately, great actor Kelsey Grammer as the Beast. Lewis Pullman as the Sentry. Again, okay, back to another MCU actor. Okay. And Kelsey Grammer technically in the MCU with the post-credit scene of the Marvels. Danny Ramirez as the Falcon. Joe Quinn as the Human Torch. David Harbour as Red Guardian. Winston Duke as M'Baku, my boy. Hannah John Kamen as Ghost, which, spoilers, Taskmaster isn't here. She is joining the Slipknot crew. Tom Hiddleston as Loki. And then this is where shit starts to get live. Patrick Stewart as Professor Charles Xavier. Ian McKellen as Magneto. Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler. Rebecca Romijn as Mystique. James Marsden as Scott Summers, Cyclops. Channing Tatum as Remy LeBeau, Gambit. Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic. And they closed out this long live stream with Robert Downey Jr. coming through the door, sitting down in his chair, and giving the audience a quiet on set, little hush gesture. So that is this list as we have it.
They then had the audacity to release a TLDR version of the stream.
Yeah.
And have a minute 45 panning shot of everything. I'm like, you bastards. You couldn't have just put that out there. Like, oh no.
So
I get they have to pay these people somehow, and there's not enough money in Disney to pay everyone that's going to be in this movie to warrant this movie's budget, but bastards.
So what do you make of this cast? I want to talk, what do you think of the cast? And then we'll talk about missing pieces. And then I have a theory that I am going to lock in the lead up.
Oh, I've got a theory locked in already for this. If you dare have the audacity to say Avengers vs. X-Men, I will slap you through the screen.
We'll get there. Let me cook.
Oh no, Jared. The brain cell, please. I think it's an interesting cast mainly for the X-Men side of things, because it's not got everyone you'd expect.
Yes.
But then they have teased that there are other ones to be announced, whether that's next week, we don't know. Full disclosure, I did actually find out yesterday or whenever it streamed that Alan Cumming was Nightcrawler for the first time.
Yeah.
I never realized that. And there's me watching the US Traitors with Alan Cumming. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing here? What the fuck? And
Yep.
someone goes, "He was Nightcrawler." I'm like, "What? Since when?" And it's like, "Oh,
That's
since
good
20
old
years
boy
ago."
Kurt.
And it's like, wow, I never realized that. That showed you how much I pay attention to those Foxman movies. But yeah, I find it interesting. There's a few admissions there, whether that's they didn't want to come back or they just haven't signed yet. You know, there was a joke going around that it's taken so long because they're signing the actors there and then. So it's like every 20 minutes they're signing the contract to get them on. But no, I find it interesting. I think it gives a bit away for what's going to happen in this movie, but at the same time, I don't believe that, at least for me, that my theory is going to be right. I'd like it to be, but I don't think it's going to be.
What I think is exciting about this cast and the way that they announced it and the full breadth of information we've been given is that this truly does harken back to Infinity War in many ways, where and Endgame, like that 1-2 punch of Infinity War and Endgame of we have a general idea as to what this movie is going to be. But the finer details of how remain a mystery.
Yeah.
And I think that gray area is so fun to play in. Because we were going into Infinity War damn near 10 years ago.
Christ,
what do we know?
Yeah.
Thanos is coming. Thanos is here. Infinity Gauntlet story. Gathering up the stones. Thanos is probably going to win. It's all we really knew. Once we get into the shit, oh no, Gamora's dead. Oh no, Vision is killed in cold blood. Holy shit, Bucky, Sam, Peter Parker, T'Challa, dead. You know, that like there are finer details here to be explored that I don't think we have the full breadth of, despite having a general roadmap to it. And that is what excites me the most. Like, again, in some of these names, I was shocked by. The two main ones being Alan Cumming and Ian McKellen. I was so not expecting McKellen to come back as Magneto. I wasn't. I did not think that was going to happen. I did not think we were going to get that.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel on that one, if I was that surprised by it or not. I think with Stewart coming back now for the second time, it's like, I can imagine. No, him and McKellen's like sitting in the grapes in Canary Wharf, it's been like, you got to come back. This tiny little pub that's like this wide.
Ian, put the goofy fucking helmet back on. But no, I mean, like I said, like that was the one that shocked me the most. It was Ian McKellen. Like, and that was the moment I went, oh, like this is no holds bar. And then again, it was like a right hook uppercut combo of like, boom, holy shit, Ian McKellen, boom, Nightcrawler. Leading into like a banger X-Men lineup. Now there are some notable omissions, like you said, on the X-Men side of things. Shocked to see no Jackman and Reynolds announced.
Yeah, they're either being Help or Secret Wars, or they're going to be in the next part, the next announcement. It's one of the two. It's got to be. They're going to be.
I think it's one of those. Famke as Phoenix,
she was a surprise.
Jean Grey. That was really shocking omission. No Rogue. We have Gambit, but no Rogue. Surprised no Anna Paquin. That was one that kind of shocked me. I'm trying to think, what were the other like X-Men ones? Because like we're missing Wolverine. Deadpool, again, like classify him as like traditionally an X-Man. No, but like in the context of this, it's shocking he's not announced in this initial.
I mean, in terms of like the original
lineup.
5, you don't have Bobby, Iceman.
Yeah.
You don't have I can never remember his name, Archangel.
Yeah.
I was going to call him like Warwick or Warren, but that would be it. Rick. That if I was Feige and I'd be like, right, we're bringing the original like actors back, I'd want the original 5 to be in suits.
Yeah.
Maybe they still do, and they get announced. There's always Secret Wars as well. So
yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like I said, it is very shocking in terms of like the MCU proper
Also,
omissions.
no Storm, no Halle Berry.
Yeah, no Storm. That's it. That was the other
Mm,
one. Is
mm,
no Halle
mm,
Berry is Storm.
mm.
Shocked me.
But again,
But in
could
terms
be a
of like
separate announcement.
MCU, yeah, again, there's Comic Con, there's next week, there's plenty of time. In terms of MCU omissions, um,
Oh, there's a lot. I
yeah,
can't believe Carol wasn't in this. To be quite honest,
yeah, no Captain Marvel,
Mm.
shocking. No Ms.
either
Marvel,
one of them. No,
yeah,
none of the
yeah,
Marvels.
no
That's crazy.
Photon either.
Yeah. Which is weird because she's with Beast. She's with Kelsey
Yeah,
Grammer right now. What's happened to her?
so
Part of my
that so
theory, but
those
we'll get to that.
those three very shocking.
Mm.
The most shocking to me, biases aside, where the fuck is Spider-Man?
Mm.
That's
I
the
can't
one.
remember. I can't remember who I was saying to, but they go, "Oh, Tom Holland's going to be at the end." I'm like, "No, I bet you they don't. I bet you Holland's not in this movie.
I'll be shocked.
I bet you
I'll be
he's not."
shocked.
Mm.
Legitimately shocked if we don't see Tom.
Mm.
Or any spiders to begin with. But yeah, no, this cast list excites me. I do think we're on the road to an MCU proper Illuminati.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Reed is there, Namor is there. I'm still trying to get used to like the
Beast is there.
pronunciation.
Stewart's there.
Well, I don't. That's the interesting thing. I don't think they're in Sacred Timeline. And this is so.
I don't.
Let me do my. I want to do my theory first.
Okay, sure. Go. I'm gonna
Okay.
scooch down for this one. Go ahead.
Okay. So, I think this is gonna be because the Russo said they're doing like OG Secret Wars and like
Hickman's.
and Hickman's Secret
Mm.
Wars kind of all at once, which makes sense.
Mm.
Most Marvel movies, when they try to do like a straight adaptation, they are very heavily adapted and introduce elements from other stories as well.
Mm.
So that doesn't surprise me. I do think there's going to be a pinch of Avengers versus X-Men. Insofar as I do not think these factions are allies, at the very least at the outset of the movie. What I think is happening is we are looking at an incursion. Realities are starting to collide into each other. And when things are looking bleak and things are looking scary, and a team shows up with a power set that is kind of way beyond the scope of what our MCU Avengers are used to dealing with. People like Gambit, people like Xavier, people like Magneto, Kurt. They are going to be out of their depth. And then from on high comes a new Tony Stark from the multiverse. And when these characters are at their lowest and at their most afraid, a friendly face from beyond the multiversal veil of death comes to help them. What they don't realize is that the reason the multiverse is caving in on itself is because of this evil Tony Stark. And that is why the Avengers and the X-Men are being pitted against each other. And that is where another Illuminati could take shape. With Tony leading it, kind of puppet mastering it the whole time. Because again, and this is like the big theme I keep coming back to, is that phase 4 and 5 have been so very much about the characters, both old and new, who have joined the pantheon of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, learning to grow and mature and move on and process the traumas of their lives up to that point, especially the blip, especially the battle with Thanos. And all of the loss and chaos and carnage that came from it.
Mm.
So as they are trying to move on and process that, and as most of them have finally moved on and made peace and are on the road to, or well on the road of being a new, improved version of themselves, what comes back to drag them back to the ground? Tony. The poster child of that age of heroes that they all lived through. I apologize. My dog is going apeshit. But Tony shows up, who again, he embodies all of it. He embodies all of it. The leader that led them to defeat Thanos, the man who laid his life down on the line to defeat Thanos and the Black Order in 3 words and a snap of his fingers. 4 words and a snap of his fingers. You bring him back and everyone's like, oh, thank God, one of the OGs are here. And I think there's a brilliant meta commentary to that as well. Again, it's like I said on CBC not too long ago, is I think that there is an opportunity to have a very fascinating meta analysis of everybody who Marvel fell off after Endgame to then have to grapple with the idea of what it looks like if we do go back to the past. And I have held on to, and I will continue to hold on to my thought and my idea that this Doctor Doom, they can say Victor Von Doom as much as they want. This is Doctor Doom, but it's Tony. I refuse to believe that this is Victor Von Doom unless I see it happen, in which case I'm going to have a lot to fucking complain about. And I'm going to have a lot of opinions. Jarod the Marvel Glazer is going to die a very fast and public death because I'm going to complain a lot. But at its core, I think this is Tony Stark. And I think this is a Tony that while everybody has moved on, while everybody has begun life anew after Thanos, after the blip, this is a Tony who, as I've said 1,000 times already, learned all the wrong lessons. He went through the same trials and came out arrogant, violent, vengeful, angry, hurt. Maybe Ultron worked. And he wasn't proven wrong. And he did not truly get punched in the mouth. He truly did not feel as though his worldview wasn't airtight until Thanos came and won. And that Tony, instead of recognizing a suit of armor around the world isn't enough, it's about the team. It is about the community. It is about, collectively uniting to take on great evils that threaten us as an entirety. He instead zeroes in on this rugged individualism that has always defined him. He instead zeroes in on how can I become more powerful? How can I diversify my skill set and my talents even more? So then he starts dabbling in magic. Well, Strange is gone. Let's say this version of Wong is gone too. So Sanctum Sanctorum, doors wide open. He can just go in and start reading. Takes to the magic as quickly as he's taken to everything else he's ever done. This man solved time travel in a night on a popsicle and a glass of whiskey, between tucking in his daughter. That motherfucker, that fucking guy takes to magic quickly and develops all these powers. And now this man who went, you know what? The last time I won one of these massive conflicts that could have gone tits up, it was because I built a suit of armor around the world and it was our best shot at defeating Thanos. Well, I have all the power now. And I think we're going to get a direct send up of the of the Doctor Doom doing the Mortal Kombat fatality on Thanos. And instead of it being this heroic act of self-sacrifice where it's not about revenge, avenge is in the name, but it's not about it's not vindictive. It's a matter of for me to save humanity, I must lay my life on the line and make the ultimate sacrifice in the name of everybody here. We're here. It's Tony with a bruised ego and a broken heart, who in the name of revenge brutally slaughters Thanos and is becoming more and more powerful. A suit of armor around the world. No, at this point, I have enough power to build a suit of armor around reality. And I'm going to now become worse than Thanos because it's not just my universe that I'm going to eliminate half of life of. I am going to eradicate quintillions of lives in the name of reforging the universe and reality in my image because I get it. I'm right. I'm the only one. Me alone, I can do it. And that's that is the worst of what Tony Stark can be, and that is some of the trademarks of how Doom operates, especially in this story. And that is where I think this is going. And I think that he is going to show up recognizing that the last battlefront in this war for him to conquer is going to be the sacred timeline. And that for whatever plot contrivance that makes that so, oh, well, you look at that. Their Tony Stark has been dead for damn near 10 years now. Time for me to swoop in. They need a hero. This universe full of mutants is a real pain in the dick. Let's clear the board. And manipulates them all to achieve whatever greater power he needs to then reform the multiverse in his image into one plane of existence. And I think that the Avengers versus X-Men angle is more to do with them going to blows. And I think it might even be over something like Beyonder, or was it Molecule Man?
Molecule Man. I can't even. Molecule Man was in the Secret Wars, yeah. I think he's not with him.
So it'd be a Molecule Man or the Beyonder or a new plot contrivance that will that will initiate and allow for this type of like grand multiversal manipulation and reality bending. I think that the soft adaptation of Avengers versus X-Men, where in that series the Avengers and the X-Men went to war over the Phoenix Force. This time they're going to war over who can control this power, with the Avengers not realizing that this fallen Tony Stark is a fallen Tony Stark and is about to cause the end times with that power. And I think that is the angle of Avengers versus X-Men, that it is these two teams are at odds over what to do with an incredible cosmic power. And I think that's a dash of it. In the same way that Spider-Man No Way Home had like enough like garnish of One More Day to say that it partially adapted it, that it's Peter Parker is going to sacrifice his relationship with all of his friends and people knowing who he is in the name of protecting everybody he cares about by way of magic. Like, that description fits both No Way Home and One More Day. I think Avengers and X-Men go to blows over what to do with a like cosmic entity describes enough of Avengers versus X-Men and potentially Doomsday to like be valid to say that one inspired the other at least a little bit. But that is my theory, and that is my take on what I think is going to happen.
Well, we're not too dissimilar. My biggest problem with the AVX angle is it eradicates the Fantastic Four from the equation.
I mean, they could be
they're not going to ignore the fact that you have the four right there in their first big Avengers movie. Like, it's at the end of the day, Secret Wars is a Reed and Doom story. Obviously, I don't think
in the comics it is. I think it's going to be less about Reed here. I really do.
I think the announcements were in billing order. Pascal was right before RDJ. Every Avenger is at the bottom. There's going to be primarily the focus on Pascal.
I'm listening. I'm muting myself to tell my dog to stop barking.
Stop barking! Shut up!
I simply said Naya chill, and that seems
it looked like shut up. Anyway, I think the most AVX you're gonna get is the amount of Civil War you got in Age of Ultron. You're gonna have the little disagreement that's not really a disagreement, it's just the tree stump. I think that's the most you're gonna get. Personally, I think this entire movie is going to be more like a season of Loki than anything else. I think ultimately in this, Loki is the MacGuffin.
Yeah, it could be over Loki.
I
That's a
think
great point.
Loki is going to be like I haven't decided on if you're going to have like if this is going to be the final incursion, and then we see like the three like the four reality, the X-Men and the 616 all coming together. Like whether it's going to be that or it's just Loki going, I need to start saving people. And that's why we have obviously you have Thor because he's going to save his brother, right? You got the Thunderbolts for whatever reason. And then you got the X-Men over here, you got the four, and then he's pulled an Iron Man out of one reality because he's like, hey, we kind of need a Tony Stark here. Why he hasn't pulled a Captain America out apart from Sam, I don't know. I thought I would find that interesting, but they could still announce Chris Evans or someone else to be Steve Rogers. But I think for the most part, it's going to be a lot like we just have to get, you're going to have the incursion at the start. They're all going to be in the TVA, a bit like Deadpool and Wolverine. Hopefully not a complete repeat of that movie, but I think you're going to be a lot like that. And then at the end, you're going to have this Tony Stark who could go how you're saying. It's a bit like nitpicky, but it could be more like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man saving MJ, where he's just desperate for the win and he needs the win. It's not that he doesn't learn the wrong lessons or anything. I still really like that idea. I've been saying that myself for a while. But like the desperation of needing the win and seeing Loki not being able to keep everything together. I think he starts off as an Iron Man. He starts off as a Tony Stark in this and as an Iron Man. And then as he's getting further along, he's realizing that he has to do something himself. And then we just get that recreation of Loki taking the throne, but it's with the Iron Man armor. It's with RDJ taking it up, and that's how he gets all the green, and that's how all the stuff happens. That's why he's doing Men's Battle World.
Maybe.
Then
I like
how...
yours a lot too. I like Loki kind of being the molecule man beyonder. Like
he fits that role as he is now. He's got all this control of reality. He fits that role.
You're absolutely right. I dig that a lot. I think
you can also do it where this Iron Man's got more of a classic, like the eyes are open, sort of like the bolts and everything, the steampunky look Iron Man armor. And then as he goes to take the throne, like the paint starts coming off, you get that silver, the fucking cloak starts appearing, and you just get that shot of the eyes and all the green.
I think there's room for that. I don't know. I think somewhere between both of ours, I like it a lot. I'm very much.
I say we're more similar to where it's going than I think we are. I think we thought we were. But...
because I also I said the quiet on set, and I've seen people saying that's what that is. I do think there's an element of deception, and that's why it ends with RDJ going.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Like I do think there's a deception from Tony, and that he is very much not as in lockstep with his Avenger counterparts. I do with regards to where do I work the 4 into my version of that. I think that they're probably working on the science of it all. That while other people are in the battlefield. Tony and Reed and Sue with Johnny and Ben running support on that are working on trying to find a solution. And maybe that's where you can start to build the Tony, the Doom and Mr. Fantastic rivalry. Is that they agree on so much, but their core philosophies differ in such a dramatic place. That it begins to tee up where they are completely opposed. And hell, I think you could even lean into the idea that this Tony does come from a world where there was a Mr. Fantastic and a Fantastic Four that served in the Battle of Earth. And that he's like, man, he's like, every version of you's fucking like this. Every version of you's fucking like this. You just don't get it. You don't get it, and you specifically don't give me my flowers, and you just don't understand what I understand. I'm assuming you can hear me, but I'm frozen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I At least it's not just me. Am I? I take it I'm not frozen either. I'm actually.
You're moving great, but I am frozen mid sentence, so I'm going to kill my
That's
camera.
that's the Fagoon. That's what that is.
Nope. Okay.
5 years, everybody. Take your shoes.
Yeah, they're back. We're going to pause for one moment. But yeah, very exciting stuff. Like I said, I had the privilege of getting to cover Avengers Endgame and the lead up, a little bit of the lead up to it, for Heroic History. But this is my baby. I have control of this, and this is like, getting to do Doomsday, which felt so pie in the sky, even during Endgame.
Is this TNAP's first Avengers?
Yeah.
Christ.
2020.
That's
We were the
wild.
immediate aftermath of Endgame.
That's wild.
Right?
I could have sworn there was a TNAP Endgame. I could have sworn.
There's a TNAP Rise of Skywalker. It's the first episode of KNR where we're like, it's been a month. How are we feeling?
Yeah.
And checking back in. And even in a month after that movie, I'm already doing I'm liking this more the more I've seen it. But but I also have some thoughts. But either way, very exciting stuff. I am just be over the moon to get to cover this and what's going to happen.
Don't be surprised if the Tony Stark is the Deadpool Wolverine version of Iron Man. Just hey, it worked out for Deadpool. We need the worst version of Iron Man. They're all dead apart from this one.
It's gonna be a big nut bust.
And that's how they do it. I wouldn't hate it if they did do that. I'd be a bit disappointed because it's like, oh, we're repeating this line again. Okay, whatever. But if they do it, I have faith that RDJ can pull that off. I'd find it hilarious if they were like, hey, we want you to play Doom. And he's like, yeah, sure. Let me read a little bit about him. He's just Tony Stark. Cool.
And funny enough, we're just going to make him Tony Stark. But anyway, time will tell. But that's not the only thing we have on the docket today. We do have some Daredevil catch-up to do. Yes. So last week's Daredevil, I don't want to glaze over it or glaze past it.
It was the Punisher one, right?
Yeah, it was the Punisher one. The most Punisher we've gotten so far, but only because I don't think we're going to talk about it as much because a lot of the ideas in that episode that get teed up get paid off in this one or in these two this week. So I don't want to come off as though we're blasting past it, but it's also a lot of it gets resolved here. So the big thing, Bernthal back as Punisher. I have a bit of a hot take, and it's not about Bernthal's performance. I don't even think it's the writing. I think it is. It's one of those I dislike this character, and I think that's on purpose. Yeah, I do not find MCU Frank Castle to be as endearing as a lot of other people do. I sympathize with him because of what he's lost. I sympathize with him because of what he's lost, and I find him compelling for what he represents, especially in opposition to characters like Daredevil and Swordsman and Spider-Man. But I was like, oh yeah, I remember thinking you're deeply fucking annoying. That your whole philosophy does really hinge on the idea that everybody but you is super bitch made.
That's Punisher.
And and again, it's true to the character. It's not bad. It's not wrong. It's just one of those instances where I kind of had to remember, oh, I kind of don't like Punisher. Again, it's I don't like him as a person. I think he's deeply frustrating. We're going back to the Oscar Langley, Penelope Featherington effect, where it's this character is doing everything they're supposed to be doing, and it's working. But Jesus Christ, I can't fucking stand them. Bing, 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 bing. See, everybody at CBC, if you guys feel so strongly about it, you should get me the 5-year anniversary gift of a Bad Takes bell. That's what you should do. That's what should happen. But no, like I said, I thought that episode was incredible. I do think that there's like a weird, people talk a lot about with Brave New World, the Frankenstein effect of the film. And I don't want to go so far as to say that I'm seeing the Frankenstein in Born Again, because I don't want to attribute it to that with like no reason other than just knowing that it happened.
Yeah.
There are some character beats in this stretch of 3 episodes that we're talking about that feel weirdly sequenced.
Yeah, no.
Like
this is you can start to feel it here.
I mean, again, and I don't necessarily know if it's that or if it's just like the direction they took. Because again, I think I could very easily say that Matt had to slowly ease back into being Daredevil. That like he got that taste of beating the shit out of those crooked cops. And then he thought about it and he thought about it. And then that episode ends with him doing, doing forms with like the Billy Club, like, meteor dart shit with, and like kind of doing his katas and training. And we see Fisk doing his like, horrifying fucking monologue at Adam, with him locked up in the cage as he's eating. And, I think there's a lot there that I like, namely that, when you think of Daredevil, you think of the Catholicism of it all, right? And what I love is the idea of like Wilson Fisk in this very Catholic, very religious setting is kind of this embodiment of the 7 deadly sins. And that like everything happening with Adam literally in the basement and like in many ways in the basement of his soul is emblematic of like the way that he's trying to suppress that from public view. Because he is, there is an element of lust for Vanessa and lust for power. There is the greed in the way that he covets Vanessa and power. There is the wrath. I think the only one you can't really hit is sloth unless you refer to the way that he's kind of like fallen off the wagon as being as effective a leader as he has been. Obviously the greed. I think a lot of that is there. And I love that again, when you get to the gluttony of it all, because again, Fisk, it's been the ping-ponging back and forth between Fisk is a very big overweight guy, or Fisk has that like weird bodybuilder build where he is kind of a butterball, but it's all muscle. And in popular media, that's always gone back and forth. And, right now I like the idea that you have a Fisk who is slimmed down, and when we see him kind of pop the suit jacket in this week's episodes, I like that it's almost a reflection that like the real Wilson Fisk is begging to come out, because when you look at his diet above ground with Vanessa in public view, it's 1 egg and 1 thing of asparagus, and he's taking his time and it's really meticulous. But you go down, that meal is a lot more lavish.
The gluttony of it all.
Yeah, that it's all being hidden. He is secretly eating the way he used to. And that he is, we talked about like, why are his knuckles bloody? I think he's wailing on a wall. And it is, again, a blank white stone wall splattered in his blood at arm level from him just going down there and wailing on it. And I think that is a really compelling angle that, like I said, is set up last week and paid off this week. But yeah. But with Daredevil, with Matt, when he's like kind of slowly kind of like working his way back into that persona, like I said, it felt very much like Daredevil's back, baby, when he goes in and it's like all of the different cowls and he has like the Billy Club and he's, like I said, he's doing his katas and he's training. And then the next time we see him is the bank heist, where he is definitely doing Daredevil shit, but it still feels like it's like, because he's using his heightened senses and the absolute piss he beats out of these guys, but he spends most of that encounter trying to Matt Murdock his way out.
It's a video game level, right? We have to be Daredevil, but Matt Murdock.
Yeah, sure, but it's also followed up
Not
with
to like degrade the episode or anything, but that's just
no, I know, I totally know what you mean. But then when you follow that up with Hector Ayala's niece missing, and he tries to call 911, it's the way he goes, fuck it, and goes back up. That felt weirdly like we were retracing the steps of the end of the episode before the last one.
Yeah.
Fuck it. And it's that specific beat of fuck it that made it feel a little disjointed.
No,
it's like fuck it feels like I'm just gonna do it. And I think I can maybe make the argument that like fuck it is I was trying to ease back in and maybe see if I actually had this in me still. And
he's trying to do it as Matt, not as Daredevil.
Yeah, but like I don't know. There felt like much less conflict as to what to choose. Because again, like that has been the beautiful dichotomy of the way that Fisk and Matt are framed as two sides of the same coin. Fisk is trying to bury the Kingpin because he knows that Kingpin cannot exist in polite society in the way that he needs to be. And I think that what we're going to unfortunately, crescendo into is very much like The Boys season 3, where Homelander's like, oh, I got away with it for, the laser lobotomy, and painting that guy's brain on the tree, is that Fisk is going to get caught in 4K in front of everybody doing Kingpin shit. And people are going to love it.
Oh,
and it's very Trumpian. It is unfortunately very real. So it's not like I can say that it's hackneyed or that it's, low-hanging fruit, because at some level it is, but it's also like it is what's happening in the real world around us too. So I can't complain about that angle too much if that's what they go with.
And it's funny, you go back like 10 years, people would shit on that sort of thing because it's unrealistic. No one's going to behave like that. No. It's like, well, give it a decade. And yes, you will.
Absolutely. And I think there's also something really compelling about, again, like for Fisk, it is all very selfish. I can't be this way because it will slow down what I'm trying to achieve. Versus Matt, I think for the last year, has viewed Daredevil as an existential threat to the lives of the people around him.
Yeah.
And to the system that he does believe in. And I think that Matt on some level began to view Daredevil almost as a self-fulfilling prophecy. That, I step in when the system doesn't work. Is the system not working because of me?
Yeah.
Is the system not working because I keep intervening as the devil of Hell's Kitchen, as the man without fear? And them like finally unleashing their true selves again. I think the framing of it was, I think, really powerful because it is emblematic of what is going on in the internal conflict. Fisk lets Kingpin wake back up because he wants that revenge. He wants the satisfaction of knowing that Adam is dead. And he got to do it in the way that he loves to, with his bare goddamn hands. Where Matt is challenged by the world around him. And it's like, this girl is going to die a horrible fucking death at the hands of this psychopath. And Matt Murdock can't fix this. And for damn sure the NYPD ain't going to get the job done.
Yeah. It's like he's finally realized that there are some times where you need that Daredevil. You need someone like a Spider-Man, like just a general vigilante, right? It's like you're not going. The NYPD aren't going to catch someone like Muse. They're not either not going to waste their time in it, or they're just, never going to be able to do it, or they don't want to do it. Like, it's down to someone like him.
Absolutely.
The system's not going to get that one.
No. And when you look at, it's all, again, like 60 victims at least. It was that great line with Fisk where he goes, when it is the New York Sanitation Department that discovers a serial killer and not the NYPD. And I was like, yeah. Uh-huh. They're not cut out for this shit, and I love that, again, like this is playing so well politically. Like the social commentary here, I think, is so poignant. That when half of the police, and again, I understand, like, I think the term vigilante is really loaded. And if there's one critique I have of the direction the show has gone in the vigilantism versus the system theme, it's that I think vigilante is super loaded. I think that it is because, like, when I hear vigilante and I think about all of the real world commentary happening in the show, I don't think of mutual aid and civil unrest and, like, community protectors. I think of fucking Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
I think of people. I think of the crooked cops who want to be the Punisher.
Yeah.
When I hear that term. Now, I understand that maybe trying to introduce the term superhero into the vernacular of this show, especially coming out of the words of Wilson Fisk's mouth, are hard. And I think that in the text, Fisk is using a term like vigilante because it is so loaded. Because when you say vigilante, it gives you the opportunity to put Spider-Man, Swordsman, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Spider-Man, all of these street level heroes in the same bucket as the Punisher. And that if you use the Punisher as kind of this straw man poster child, while these crooked cops are aspiring to be like him, I think it does introduce the, bizarre, real cognitive dissonance of how people engage with policing as an institution. That, all of the same people who love to talk about, come and take it from me, don't tread on me, are also the people who just love the idea of police using excessive force, in the name of the episode, on, suspects. Even if they're guilty, and again, like right now, everything that's going on with the insane mass deportation policies in the real fucking world right goddamn now, talking about, oh yeah, there's not going to be any due process because fuck it. Again, we talk about the Constitution as though it is a holy text when it serves our purposes. And, I think that's really heavy. And I think the direction they're taking this is brilliant. I think that I see a lot of people talk, especially in leftist spaces, about how superhero storytelling is inherently conservative because it relies on rugged individualism, and a relation in a unflattering and unfair interpretation of how crime interacts with society at large. And maybe this is me just trying to square my own cognitive dissonance and make excuses for why I am such a loud leftist person who also loves superhero media. I think that stories about heroes who have lost their way traffic in that, like, self, that rugged individualism. And I think the best stories about superheroes tend to be ones that are about somebody who is willing to take the first step so that a community around them can rise to the occasion. And I think that part of that framing of the hyper individualism comes because of stories like, Avengers movies, where it's just a group of people who are, kind of like a private military force. And I'm not saying that criticism is necessarily wrong. I just approach it from a completely different angle. And I look at it from the perspective of like these are people who want to help their community and help the community and empower the community. It's why that the Insomniac Spider-Man stories resonate with me so much.
Yeah.
Is that it's never been Peter Parker by himself.
Yeah.
It has always taken a village to save New York. But yeah, no, I really like these episodes. Yeah, Mitch, I've been yapping for a while. How are you feeling about these?
No, I'm saying I really enjoyed them. The only thing I found really strange, and I say strange, it's obviously going to come back up later, is I was expecting them to actually go into the whole Punisher angle of it more, considering that someone wearing the skull killed White Tiger. Then they left us on that. Matt went back there, he found the bullet, he went to Punisher, and then it's just, hey, we're going to do Muse now. Where Muse hasn't really been set up apart from in that same Punisher episode, and then we're dealing with him here. Obviously, we still got 3 left. Is it 3 weeks left?
How many?
I want to say it's 9. Because I was under the impression that it ended on 2 episodes, but it doesn't. It ends on 3, on 1. But yeah, I was expecting them to actually pick that back up and that be a bit more of an arc here. But as I say, there's 3 episodes left, so I just assume at least one's going to be dealing with it. But unless it's a season 2 thing, which if it is a season 2 thing, I'd be kind of disappointed. Because that means you're just having to wait. And then if that's the case, why not save that plot beat until season 2? Or even have it as the cliffhanger for season 1. But
sorry, I'm listening. I'm just trying to figure out how many. Because I also
I'm pretty certain it's 9. Because it was 18, they split into 2. Certain it's 9.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it's the bank episode was fun. It was Kamala's dad was a fun addition to that, and the chemistry with him and Matt was fun.
Yeah, shame about the actor, but it was fun to see the character.
Has there been anything on those accusations since?
I don't remember, but that's also not like a litmus test I like to use just because, like,
no, I mean, sure, but
sometimes get buried. Like, I remember seeing that, like, the Tenek Huerta stuff that, like, it got dismissed on, like, lack of evidence, and, like, that's going to be a cloud that hangs over him forever of, like, I don't know.
But even then, there's also a thing of that she was doing something there, that there weren't legit accusations.
Like I said, I don't remember. It was so long ago. And that's one of those things that, like, the Jonathan Major stuff is just so well documented. It's what I planned on covering that as well. But, like, at this point, like, I don't want to give his fucking, like, redemption tour any more attention than it deserves.
Well, redemption tour is
what he thinks will be his what he thinks will be.
Yeah.
But either way,
Marvel, like, no. To be fair, I would not be surprised if he is back in one of these Avengers movies, but I hope not. I wouldn't be surprised.
But sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the whole thing of yes, it could have been buried, but it wasn't on my mind as I was watching it. I was just like, I like the character. He's fun in that role. I'm just gonna enjoy the show. Can't spend my life, worrying about.
Like I said, that's a complicated topic for everybody to engage with on their own, and it's one of those things I've not had the mental bandwidth to follow up on it. Aside from going, man, I hope I find out how this gets resolved and then it's good. But no, I did really like that, and it was a really fun view into that element of the world, and like getting the opportunity for Matt to become more and more ingratiated with like the greater hero community, because he's kind of stepping in. I mean, obviously not in a major way yet, but he's kind of had like 3 big Nick Fury moments now. Where he's palling around with Spider-Man, and he's palling around.
If Spider-Man doesn't end up in this show, I doubt it's going to be this season, but I put a lot of money on it being season 2. I'll be very surprised.
I think there's way too many hoops for them to jump through to make it happen.
I think they can do it.
I hope you're right.
I think they can do.
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. Also, fight choreography incredible as always. Both the fight with the crooked cop, and the fucking Muse fight. Holy shit, that was
What
good.
I can't remember because I watched this stupidly at the tail end of the stream for the chair reveals. What happens to Muse?
He gets the shit kicked out of him. Matt, in a very like shocking way, kind of like ropes him up with the billy club and almost starts to hang him. But he can hear can't remember her name, Hector Ayala's niece. He can hear that her heart's starting to give out because like he took out the syringe. So she's no longer losing blood, but she's still super low. So Matt is forced into a situation where he's like, either I can finish off Muse, whether that means kill him or like thoroughly incapacitate him to the point where it will be easy to apprehend him. I can't tell. And I think they kind of play with that intentionally. I think that was like one of the things where I was complaining about how, it feels like Matt is like slowly dipping his toe into the Daredevil pool before he just dives into it.
Yeah.
That felt like almost like a really fascinating moment for Matt to be like, fuck this guy. I'm going to fucking kill him. There's 60 people dead. Fuck this guy. Oh, no. Oh, she's about to go. And then he immediately lets him out.
Yeah.
And then he comes to and runs while he's doing chest compressions on her.
Yeah.
Trying to resuscitate her.
Because it would never happen, but I just want them to say Muse isn't human or something. Just give me a crumb.
Best I can do is mutant.
No. Not that I write anything with Muse, but I will be very mad if we just painting over Inhumans after years of people being like, they're not the same. Well, why are we now making the same? And why are you okay with it?
I get it.
Bad internet.
I understand your issue. I fully get it. Also very excited to see where the anti-vigilante task force goes. I've not been talking about it because I don't want to like let the commentary on season 2 filming affect the conversations about what's happening in season 1. But we do know that the anti-vigilante task force is a thing in season 2. So I'm glad to see that it happens kind of mid-season in season 1, that it's born.
Do we know when this takes place? I know it's after She-Hulk, but
we do. I've seen people do the math. I want to say that these 2 episodes take place late March of 2027. So the MCU is still 2 years ahead of us in the real world.
Because it's going to be interesting. You're going to have season 2 of Daredevil, and it's like, hey, everything's smushed together.
Yeah.
Then it's like, hey, back to Task Force again. Obviously, that's just comics, and it's not going to affect people on a normal human level because they won't know different. But
yeah, they're just cops.
It's going to be funny. It's just like, oh, okay.
But yeah. But yeah, great great 3 episodes. Really, really enjoying this show, and I'm looking forward to see how it wraps up here in a few weeks.
I think we're going to be left on a cliffhanger because it's going to act as a mid-season.
You're right. It's absolutely ending on a cliffhanger. Whether that cliffhanger is one thing I think that might be implied by one of the set photos that I'm not going to get into for the sake of spoilers.
Is that the ones from today?
There are ones today.
There's more, yeah. There's a better look at it.
Oh, I'm referring to that, but just the other pictures. Something that might allude to that storyline, or the theories about Foggy faking his death, I think could come up in a really, really real way. But time will tell.
Or at least Vanessa faking Foggy's death.
Yeah, either way, Foggy's death was a work, and wasn't the reality of the
greatly
situation.
implied. Nothing else.
But with all of that said, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary pals, I think that brings us to the end of this episode. By the time you're seeing this on Friday the 28th, it will have already happened. But if you didn't catch it live, you can check out on this channel or on Bombadcast. We're doing a fun little crossover. Like I said before, the Patreon Versus series is taking a mini hiatus until June, at which point we're going to go back to normally regular scheduled matchups with Balin Skull and Shin Hati versus Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano coming very soon to wrap up season 5. Season 6 is going to be an abridged season, but to fill in the gaps, we're going to be doing a number of versus topic episodes is how I'm describing them, and the first of which being we are sitting down with the boys at Bombad for a live stream to read Star Wars Head to Head.
Oh, we've already got it bookmarked. Look at him.
That was the bookmark that actually came with this book when I ordered it, which was funny. But yeah, this is written by Pablo Hidalgo. It was the beginning of my Versus series fixation. So I'm very excited to check this out. Like I said, it's got some bangers in there. It has Vader versus Yoda, which is a match we've actually covered on the show. It is the first matchup in the book, as it is the one on the cover. So very excited to talk about all of the matchups in this book. Like I said, there's some heaters, one of which I think we're actually going to do in Versus Series Season 6. So you might get a teaser for that on the stream tonight. Let me find it, because I think it might be my favorite matchup in the book. God, it's in there. Holy shit.
Is it not the Ewok versus Jawa?
It's not Ewok versus Jawa.
That'd be a banger.
I think I might have passed it up. It's Kit Fisto versus Darth Maul. I'm just trying to
I was going to say, is it Plo Koon related? But then I should have known it was Fisto.
It's not Plo. It's not Plo. Listen, I am not as much of a. I realize I've been full screen this whole time. I am not as much of a Kit Fisto head as some other people are. Here we are.
We finally found it. Right on cue.
Right on cue.
Nice.
Right on cue. This is my favorite matchup in the book. We might actually cover this on the Versus series proper. But yeah, and like I said, there's some silly ones in here that are just. They said Jawa versus Ewok, the Tusken Raider versus Gungan, stuff like that.
Classic. Gungans lose out every day.
Fuck you. But
no, Gungans.
Gungans are bomb bad.
Yeah, they're bad.
Okay. That was beneath you.
It was. You know what? I don't feel bad about it.
I bet you don't.
No.
I bet you don't. But anyway, be sure to tune in for that. Either, like I said, hopefully you catch it live. If not, go back and visit it on the channels. And stay tuned for more Pro and Noob Cowboy Bebop coverage, as well as the final season of Ionized Bastards. Next episode coming out this coming week. And Epic Confrontations, Star Wars Trivia League, where I have a match soon, actually. Very soon, actually. Like the next week, I just realized.
It's his to lose.
No, I'm going to defeat friend of the show, Scotty Holiday. And like I said before on the live stream celebrating 5 years of the Nerd Academy, 3 of my 4 wins in singles are all by KO. So step in the ring with me at your own risk. But be sure to check out Pro and Noob on Mitch's channel, as well as Comic Book Cast if you aren't already. Thank you also very much for watching and listening. Find Mitch at his link tree for all of his social medias, Blue Sky and the like. But
mainly Blue Sky. We don't use the other ones really.
Yeah, truly. But thank you also very much for tuning in. Thank you again for another 5 years of the Nerd Academy, or thank you again for 5 years of the Nerd Academy podcast. Here's to another 5. Class dismissed.
Stop!